Yo, what's up, man? This is Moose, aka Big House. Hold on one second here because I got something else I got to do here. I got to. There we go. Yo, all right, here we go. It's Moose, aka Big House, man. Hey, this is kind of a part two tonight. This short program is called the story of Riz really, but it's Riz's recovery. We got Riz, man. The she was the lady of our show not too long ago. She's a nurse here in Indianapolis that contracted COVID-19, and it was weird. Like I reached out to her one day. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" She's like, "Yo, I'm sick." I'm like, "Oh gosh," and then and we got onto it, and she came on the show a couple weeks ago, and she was suffering from it, and she's just now getting better. But folks, you can hear her now, and we're gonna get her story from kind of beginning to end, man. So it's Mooske Big House, Heavy Airs Radio. We got Run EMC. She's in here as well. Jeezy, if you're looking at us, Jeezy's on here, but I'm not sure where he is. This is empty chair. Right
the empty seat.
yeah, he's an empty seat right there. And then we got Riz. Hey Riz, what's up?
Yes, sir. Hey.
All right, guys. Let me give you some background on Riz. So, my born day a few years ago. Matter of fact, my mom was still living. They had a party for Moose, and Keith Vale brought is a good friend of Riz, and they came to the show, and we met, and we talked and everything, and then man, Riz just started coming, and she hung, and she was part of the show, and man, I tell you what, we saw some growth during that time, and then of course it slows down. I mean, like anything else, it's one of those things
My
where
schedule changed at work drastically, so
yes,
cut
so
into my time with the show.
yes. And so it's one of those things where she's always a part, and she never went away. She just had to work, So it's one of those things. So Riz, you know what? We love you. You've always stayed with us, but during this pandemic, you are a nurse. That is your 40. We always talked about our 40s, right? And so
Yeah,
in your 40, you're a nurse, and you contracted COVID-19, or what they call the coronavirus.
I
Please,
did.
please tell us I tell you what, kind of give us some intro into the beginning of that situation.
Okay. First of all, I'm a very healthy person. I have no underlying conditions. I hardly ever get sick. I have a pretty damn good immune system. Rarely get colds. Um, it was kind of towards the beginning when I got it. I was at work working with patients that they weren't really testing yet because testing wasn't widely available. A few days after a shift that I worked with a patient that was in isolation, he had been in the hospital for 9 days. I first started feeling a tightness in my throat and felt like I had to keep clearing my throat. I thought it was kind of odd, but didn't really think too much of it. Next day, the sensation kind of moved down into my chest, my upper chest. I started having a persistent cough. I was like, I don't think this is right. I just don't feel right. This cough is weird. It's a completely dry cough. I didn't have any congestion or anything. I called my job like I was supposed to, reported my symptoms. They said, you're okay to go to work. Go to work. I was nervous about that because I knew I don't ever get sick. This is weird. This is a weird sensation. Something's not right. So as soon as I got to work, I put on a surgical mask. The cough I had was relentless, like nonstop. I was coughing. And I didn't want to be coughing around my coworkers. I didn't want to be coughing in patients' rooms. I already knew people were going to be looking at me crazy. So I did wear a mask. Now, let me tell you, a surgical mask is not going to contain the coughing all the coughing I was doing, especially if I have the virus.
Hey, real quick,
4
so
hours.
hey Rizzy, I saw a study today where when you wear a mask, if you don't have a mask on, the cough expels out of your mouth 3, 6, 9, up to 12 feet, and some of
Yeah,
it rises. Most of it rises with the solar winds, is what they said.
right.
So if you have a
Yeah,
mask on, it doesn't necessarily stop the spread. What it does is it dissipates the distance. So like it kind of shoots up and down, in your mask and
yes. It
stays
can come
away.
out the sides. Yeah. So if a mask can contain it, um, I was coughing like nonstop. And I know just having on a regular surgical mask, like this would be like a surgical mask. This is a cloth mask with a filter inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of works the same as a surgical mask, but things can come out the sides, up, down, and as much as I was coughing, there's no way like it could contain everything. Just maybe a cough here and there. Yeah. And definitely a mask is better than having nothing on. It's very important to wear masks right now, whether you have symptoms or not, because
Wear a mask, folks.
some people don't have symptoms and are carriers, and they can spread it very easily. It's highly contagious.
Hey, real quick,
So,
Riz. So I've been home by myself. I've showered. I haven't been around anyone, and I've washed my hands 800 times. So I can touch my face in my house, right? Like, because my allergies are still like a mess,
yeah,
like so. I'm cool. But if I go outside, I should not do that, right?
no, because you're touching, well, if you touch something and then sanitize your hands, it's okay to touch your face. But if you touch a door, you touching stuff on the shelves in the store, and you don't know what someone else has touched before you. So if you touch something else and then you touch your face, you're at risk.
Okay.
You might get it. It lives on surfaces for who knows how long. I mean, different surfaces it survives on
Different
different
shelf life.
surfaces
Yeah, I
for
saw that.
longer periods of time. So you just never know who's touched what right before you and what they have. And that's with anything. Any kind of germs could be anywhere. It's just you don't want COVID. You do not want coronavirus.
Why is that?
Um, hmm,
Why is that?
I mean, it's killing people at a rapid rate. You don't know how hard it's going to hit you. I'm healthy and I'm 5 weeks in. I'm still recovering 5 weeks later. I still have not been able to go back to work. I'm a healthy person. There's people that are in the hospital, go on ventilators, and don't come off the ventilators. They die. There's people that come off ventilators or people that have been on high oxygen that have to be released to a rehab, and they're still rehabbing it. It can take a long time to recover. It's not fun. It's very scary.
So, all right. So when you first realized that you had it, you said you started coughing,
So,
and then what?
so, so when they told me to go to work that night, I went to work, wore a mask. 4 hours into my shift, as time was going on, I hadn't been real active at home, but when I was at work that night, I'm up moving around. It was crazy busy. So not hardly got a chance to sit down. I was getting really short of breath. I had to keep bending over just to catch my breath. I started getting feverish, started running a fever 4 hours into my shift, and I got sent home. I work night shift. So I got home at like 11:30, 12 o'clock that night. My fever got up to 101.3. I was taking Tylenol, felt like crap, was real achy. The next day, my job said there wasn't enough testing, just to stay home and quarantine. Then they called back and said, well, considering your symptoms, we're going to put you on a high priority list to be tested because we need to get you back to work. Okay. So the next day I went, they sent me to a drive-through testing site. My results weren't to be back for 5 to 7 days. A few days later is when Lilly opened up their testing site, drive-through testing site for healthcare workers. They called me and gave me the option to go to the Lilly site to get my results back faster. I got both test results back. They were both positive. So when I started running a fever, I freaked out. That night I was at work and I started getting a fever. By the time I got home and it hit 101.3, I had a meltdown because I freaked out. I was scared to death. Then I kind of, calmed down. It was a few days. I'm waiting on test results. I was like, I knew in the back of my mind that it was going to be positive, but then I was like, no, I don't ever get sick. It's not going to be positive. When I got those results in my face, I had another meltdown.
That's real. Yeah, that's real.
It was scary. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was to come. Fortunately for me, it's always good to be a nurse when you need a nurse. So I have a blood pressure cuff at home. I have a pulse oximeter at home. I have the thermometer. I knew what to do to take care of myself. And had I not been able to check my oxygen frequently every day, and I still check it 5 weeks later,
right?
Because I get short of breath and I feel like I can't breathe. If I didn't have this, I would have been at the hospital numerous times because I feel like I just cannot breathe.
Now that pulse ox, is that something anybody can purchase?
You can get. They're hard to come by right now, just because, just like anything else on the shelves, you can't find Lysol, you can't find sanitary wipes, you can't find anything. You can't even find a rubbing alcohol. These are hard to find. You can get them on Amazon now, but they've overinflated the price on everything. So I got this for like $25. You can get them now for like $45. However, this has been a saving grace because without this, I'd have freaked out a whole lot of times. This has shown me that my oxygen was good, manageable. Even though I felt like it wasn't, the numbers said otherwise. So I've gone throughout, like the first 2 weeks, I went through a whole slew of symptoms. I had pain in my chest that went through to my back, pain that would not go away. Not just the tightness that I've had and that I have now, but actual pain, like a knife was sticking through my chest, all the way through to my back. Nothing would take that pain away. It was constant. My body had pain. Just to touch my arms and my legs, just be painful. That lasted a couple of days. Every time I had a fever, I just kept eating Tylenol, basically. Because whenever the fevers would come back, the body aches would come back. Severe body sweats. I would soak through my clothes. That lasted for almost 4 weeks. Not as severe. I mean, it decreased as the weeks went on. 2 weeks, probably 2.5 weeks was really bad with the sweats. My heart rate in the beginning would get up into the 140s just standing up. Any little bit of movement, my heart rate would go up into the 140s.
Hey, folks, and you guys got to understand, man. This Heavy Airs radio show. This is more like a public service announcement. This is Riz, one of our own that was stricken with COVID-19. Man, she's giving us a firsthand encounter what it was like. So please pay attention, so you can pay attention to yourself and others.
Yes. So with my heart, even though my oxygen reading was good, when my heart rate would go up like that, it would cause shortness of breath, just like a person that has heart problems. When their heart races or they're in AFib or whatever, it causes, just like when you're running on the treadmill and your heart rate gets up high, it gets harder to breathe. And that's how it was for me, just standing up and moving a couple of feet. Mm-hmm. My heart rate, as time went on, my heart rate was only getting into the 130s, and then it would only get into the 120s. And now it's stable. Sometimes it'll get up into like the low hundreds, but it's like going up the stairs. And like last night I had my choking fit and I got up, but that's going to make it go up anyway. Pretty much that's all stabilized. There was a period of time where when my heart rate was in the 120s, my blood pressure was low, in the 90s. Just standing up, walking 5 feet, I would get super dizzy, lightheaded. My hands and feet would tingle, and I would have to put my head down, like sit down with my head down right away. Felt like I was going to pass out. That lasted probably 4 or 5 days. Everything seemed to start resolving around week 3. And then out of nowhere, I started having diarrhea. And then my fevers came back. I freaked out all over again. I was like, oh my God, why am I having fevers again? And I'm thinking the worst. I'm thinking it's 3 weeks. I'm coming out of this. I'm good. Fevers come back. I'm like, oh my God. So now, mind you, during all this, I get phone calls every day. The health department has called me. I get calls from work. I get calls from the doctors at work. Now my primary care is calling me. I get calls every day. So there's always people calling me wanting to know my symptoms, even though there's nothing they can do for me. When you have COVID and you're COVID positive, you cannot go to the doctor. You have to call on the phone. They don't want to see you in person anywhere unless you go to the ER because you cannot breathe. It's very frustrating. So when my fevers came back, they had me do telehealth with a physician. At that time, I was put on a 10-day course of antibiotics. I was given an inhaler, albuterol inhaler, to help my breathing because I still had the tightness that I had in the very beginning in my throat and my chest.
And you said at this point, we're now 3 or 4 weeks in when that's happening?
This is 3 weeks in.
Okay.
And then they gave me a a couple of different cough medicines. I just finished the antibiotics a couple of days ago. I started having some thick buildup in my chest that I couldn't cough up. It was hard to cough up. So the antibiotics, I guess, helped. They're guessing that my fevers came back due to a secondary infection in my chest. My fevers are gone now. I haven't had a fever since last Sunday. Everything's resolved except for this tightness in my throat and my chest now. It's still there. It's been there from the very beginning. Don't know why.
Do you have allergies or anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, I get like mild seasonal allergies. I use Flonase, and that's all I've ever had to use. And I have been using that. I've tried Benadryl just to see if it would help. It doesn't really help. The Flonase doesn't even really help. I mean, and typically the Flonase will clear. I have not had any nausea or vomiting. The diarrhea came out of nowhere. That lasted like 4 days. No stuffy or runny nose. My sinuses do get inflamed, like it's swollen. There's nothing in there. It's just my tissue is swollen. So I use my Flonase, but it doesn't really do anything. Mm-hmm. The inhaler they gave me helps a little bit. I can tell that it opens my lungs up, but it doesn't help. Like, it's not fixing the problem. I still get, with this tightness, I still get to where I feel like I can't get a good breath. Mm-hmm. And then once that happens, then anxiety can kick in, and then my breathing gets all out of whack.
Hey, I know all about that. Like, I got some postnasal drip, man, and I feel that, and I'm like, oh damn, here it comes. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I for sure understand that anxiety piece.
Yeah.
How do you work through that anxiety piece? Knowing that you're
hard.
going through.
So it's really hard. I've asked the doctor if I could have anxiety meds just to help my breathing. They won't give it to me. So I just try to distract myself. I try to do things and try to just get my mind off of it. It's hard. It's really hard. Especially like when I move around, I get that air hunger. And then it just starts all over again. I can say a couple other symptoms that I've had, which are now resolved. And a lot of people have heard of this now. I lost my sense of taste and my sense of smell, and that was gone for almost 4 weeks. My smell was the last thing to come back, and it was gradual. I can smell and taste everything now. And there was also in the very beginning, I was very forgetful. Like, I had really bad brain fog. That's gone. Energy-wise, I didn't start getting low energy till probably the second and third week. The third week was awful with my energy. I had none. That's resolved for the most part. Everything has resolved except for I feel like someone's constantly choking me. I feel like I have someone's hand around my neck all the time.
And you don't enjoy that, right? Like, that's not a thing you enjoy.
Absolutely not, because that is what's causing me to. It's tight. It's like, it's definitely inflammation.
Okay.
And it makes it hard to get a good breath sometimes.
So what about like salt water or like the neti pot? Like, after this conversation, I feel like I need to fire up my neti pot, man,
So,
and like run it through, like get it squared
so
away.
all I've been doing, I mean, like right now, my nose is clear, and it's not, my sinuses aren't. The morning time, my sinuses are swollen all the time. My throat is swollen. My chest, usually in the morning, my chest doesn't feel as bad because I'm relaxed while I'm sleeping. I'm not working so hard to breathe. I'm not coughing as much. Most of my coughing is coming from a sensation that I'm being choked or there's something stuck in my throat. And even like when I eat food, I can get pills stuck in my throat, food gets stuck in my throat, and usually I can get it to clear out. Last night I choked on a piece of corn, like it wouldn't go down.
I remember
Chewed up piece of corn, just it gets stuck, it gets hung up on something in there, and I don't know what it is, and I can't go to the doctor to get any kind of scan, scope. They won't do anything. They just keep assuming and guessing over the phone. It drives me insane. But there's just not enough known about this virus. They don't know what to do for me. It's very, very frustrating.
All right, so because I mean I know you as a very tough, like you are a tough woman, guys. If you don't know about Riz, like Riz, from what I know, I mean, a single woman, but like she's strong, like I've seen dudes hitting on her and stuff, and she don't really be going for that nonsense, and but she's a beautiful woman, and she's single and she's strong and all that. So
Not right now.
so what positive anecdotes do you have for the folks that may come in contact with, have come in contact with about the future?
I mean, first of all, do everything possible to protect yourself, first and foremost. If by some chance you do contract it, get it, you just need to really pay attention to yourself. It's scary. It will give you anxiety. There's no doubt about it, because the unknown is there. When you feel like you can't breathe, it's scary. I highly recommend anyone, whether you got it or not, if you can find a pulse oximeter, get one and check your temperature frequently. It will be a lifesaver for you. That has been my saving grace. This has relieved lots of anxiety that I've had. I've tried to be proactive since they don't know a lot about this virus and what to do. I started doing stretches, try to be as active as I can. If you're short of breath, you don't want to get up and force yourself to move around. That's not a good idea. And I've heard people on videos and on TV saying, oh, if you can't breathe, you just got to make yourself go take a walk outside. You've got to make yourself do this. That's dangerous. If you can't breathe, you need to sit down and relax. I mean, you don't want to pass out. If you feel healthy and you have a little bit of energy and you have someone that can walk with you, then go take a walk, take a shower, move about your house. You don't want to overdo it. And you definitely want to keep in contact with your doctor. You don't want to overlook symptoms. You don't want to dismiss something that might be important. But at the same time, anxiety can make your symptoms seem way overblown. So you kind of got to get a good balance between the two. And I know when my anxiety is kicking in, I can't. It causes me, my breathing to go out all out of whack. I know that's my anxiety, and I'm fine. I did get out once I started getting my energy back. I have gotten out and walked around my block a few times. The first 2 times I did it is when my fevers came back. Was not a good idea. I just went for a walk again a couple of days ago, and the doctor told me today to sit my ass down and don't go back outside because it's not warm enough. And with all this I have going on in here, they said it's just going to irritate my airway even more. And they said no exercise, don't walk, just sit down, which is driving me insane because I work out, I'm an active person, and I can't stand. And I'm on week 5 of hardly no activity. So, I mean, I've gotten up. I have organized my room. I've tried to, keep my house clean and do as much as I can without overdoing it, without pushing myself too
hard. I tell you what, man. I appreciate 100% the information that you've given us. I think that, man, when this puts out, matter of fact, I may even put this out. I may even push this out even further. I don't know if you guys know or not, but like Heavy Hitters is already on. We're on Spotify and we're on iHeartRadio and all that kind of stuff. But I may take this session and put it on like my personal Facebook so people get it too, so they know that. I mean, like there's people out there, man, that we know, that are struggling with this, and it's twofold. One, not everyone is dying, right? Because you hear that a lot. Everybody's dying.
There are people that don't have symptoms. You might get it and have the most mild of symptoms, and just because your symptoms are mild does not mean it's not serious, and it can't be serious for someone else. That being said, there's no guarantees that you'll have immunity. There's no guarantees that you won't get this again, and the second time you get it could be way worse than the first time. There's not enough known about this virus to know how much antibodies your body is going to build up from fighting the virus, how long the antibodies will hang around in your body, and how much immunity you'll have and for how long you'll have. There's too many unknowns, and it's too risky. Always protect yourself. Do what you can. Take it serious.
Man, for sure, Riz. I don't know how much you know that. And I'm not even speaking for me. I'm speaking for the masses. I mean, hopefully the masses appreciate the candid nature in the way that you express to us how COVID affects you from the beginning to the end, and all the things you need to do. I mean, for sure. And I mean, even the coughing. Like when you cough, like I cover my mouth, and I'm not even, I'm way on the west side. You're on the south side. Speaking of that, I was gonna drop something off to you. It was something you wanted. Tell me it was something I had you wanted. I had something you saw on my social media and you wanted it. I can't remember what it was now. And I meant to drop it off last Thursday, and then I forgot. Huh?
Was it Peep?
It was Peeps.
Peeps.
It is Peeps. All right, so listen. Shoot me your address, and Thursday I will drop some Peeps off to you. I have them in my office. But listen, they're Peeps that taste like that taste like pancakes. So
what?
Yeah, they're flavored Peeps. Are you okay with that?
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right, well, shoot me your address, and on Thursday. What's that?
I said, hopefully I can eat them without choking. I might have to wait a little bit, but I definitely want them because I didn't get any Peeps this Easter.
I will listen to me on Thursday. You send me your address on Thursday. I will drop them off on your porch. I'm not coming in there. And I'm not messing with you.
No, I don't
But
want you to come
but
out.
I will drop. I will drop peeps off on your porch on Thursday. They're in my office. They're ready for you. Matter of fact, my peeps are COVID free. I know that because they are there and nobody's touched them or nothing. They've been free. They've been free of everything. And so I will drop them off to you on Thursday. So when you come back on the show
Okay.
on Tuesday, you can talk about your peeps that you had from Moose, aka Big House, and the Heavy Hitters, and all the neighbors, because it's not from just me; it's from all of us.
Okay. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
yeah, for sure, man. I got some peeps coming, man. Peeps coming on Thursday. You got some peeps. Hey,
All
folks.
right.
Hey, Ron, you hung in on this interview. You got any questions, any concerns or
You
comments?
did.
No, I don't think so. I think I think you painted a pretty good picture of what it can be like for people, and like not in a scary way. So I thought it was good information that people need to hear.
Yeah, for
Outstanding,
sure.
outstanding. Hey, Riz, we appreciate you. You know, we always knew you were an important part. Isn't it funny? Like, it was some years
Right.
later, and all of a sudden, you're here to teach people and to make people understand like kind of a serious situation going on.
I mean, it is serious, and not. I feel like people just need to be educated. I don't just have this. I am a nurse, so when I go back to work, I'm going to be taking care of people that also have it, that are probably going to be worse off than me, than I was or am. And what's scary to me is how many people that are out here that think it's a joke. They think it's a hoax. They think that these numbers are fake. They think, oh, well, only old people get it, or it's everything's way overblown. It's not. And when you work in the hospital and you see it for your own eyes and you're working with these people and you have to deal with everything that comes with it, they can't have visitors. Families are torn, the patients torn, the patients are alone, families are brokenhearted that they can't be there with their loved ones, and we have the only communication they have is the nurse on the phone with them. It's so hard, and people that are out here taking it so lightly, like it's just the flu, which it's definitely not. You're putting so many people at risk, and when they start opening the city back up and the rest of the United States back up, the virus is not going to go anywhere, and we have to be very cautious because we don't need a big, full-blown another round of craziness in the hospitals again. It's scary. It's scary for us workers. It's scary for the patients. It's scary for people that are high risk. It's serious, and we need to take it serious.
Yeah.
I get it. If it's not right in your face, if you're not dealing with it firsthand, if you're not a healthcare worker, you're not a first responder, and you're not seeing the ramifications of this with people, if you're not seeing that in real life for yourself, it's hard to understand. But it's real. And what you see on TV is real.
Man,
If you don't have it yourself, a loved one is not suffering with it, it's hard to understand. It really is, especially for the younger people. They just don't take it that serious. But you don't want to be that one to not take it serious and then get it and you get a really bad case of it. Don't be that person. You don't want it.
you are absolutely right. I mean, I can tell you, man, as being an overweight brother, and I don't have necessarily underlying symptoms, but I'm like on the cusp of all those things. Man, I know.
Yeah.
I done lost a little weight. I've been trying to stay away from everything, and I do have to work with the public still a little bit. And man, I am as cautious as I've ever been, and I will continue to be going forward. I'm the cat that gave the brother hugs and all that. Like, no, from here on out, man, it's the power to the people or the peace sign, and the whole deal. And so Riz, man, I you don't understand how much I appreciate you being just forthcoming and real with us and sharing this with the people. I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna chop it up as much as I can. We've been on about 40 minutes or so, and I'm gonna put this out to the people and make sure they know that that it's hit home, to us. You are a heavy hitter, and one of the heavy hitters. If you think about it in the whole grand scheme of things, there's about maybe 15 of us that have had like guaranteed time on the show. So there's 1 in 15 of us, that have had it. That is humongous in the grand scheme of things. You feel me? And
Yeah.
so and who knows? Some of us might have had it and just didn't know. Like the symptoms were
Exactly.
different.
And you might have it and still not know it. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. So I mean, yeah, no, so for sure, man, we appreciate you. Hey, man, this is Moose, aka Big House, man. I'm in the house. I'm we did a PSA, with Rizzy, for sure. And if you want to go back and check out some of our videos we did, they were pretty cool, actually. Uh, going into the Tuesday night jam and all that kind of good stuff. What's the name of that with Metronome and them? Take That Tuesday. Going in with Take That Tuesday, and then we also got the new lady, like we also got the new lady of the house, man, Run EMC, and then the chair that Jeezy sat in. If you're watching.
And
Hey, man.
like a lantern in the background.
That's true. It is very rustic. It's a very rustic
Yeah.
situation for him.
Very much.
Hey, man, this is a Heavy Hitters Radio Show. It's a public service announcement for COVID-19. Please take it seriously. We are not joking around. Even though most of our shows we try to get away from it, we're taking it very seriously. What's up, Riz? Last word?
Please take it seriously.
Hey, remember, we are where you are.
So get comfortable.
Riz, go ahead and say it. Come on in.
Come on in.
And then we're
My part was always Jeezy's part.
We're not saying the rest. We're not saying. We're not saying the rest of it, because that's what they said. We're not saying the rest of it. Holla at y'all, man. Peace, man. We love y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah,
love you too. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Let me stop this thing.
And be safe.
Yes. All right, there you go.